Welcome to the Capstone Conversation, where you learn about what's happening in the greater East Bay. I am your host, Jared Ash. Welcome to today's episode of the Capstone Conversation. Today, we're going to talk about how downtowns play a key role in economic development and driving community identity. We are joined by Chloe Shipp and Kathy Hemingway, who run downtown organizations. Chloe is the chair of the California Downtown Association, and Kathy serves as the membership chair of the organization. Chloe, can you tell us more about your background and then about the association, and then we'll let Kathy introduce herself.
My background started at the San Jose Downtown Association. I spent about 11 years there from 2013 to just last year in a variety of roles, starting as a part-time membership person and leaving as the deputy director for the San Jose Downtown Association. And I worked in clean and safe, as well as membership, marketing, events, and promotion, Jill of all trades. And now I work for a firm called Progressive Urban Management Associates that works with downtowns across the country on formation of these assessment districts, as well as strategic planning and urban planning.
And Kathy?
Yes, I'm the executive director with the Walnut Creek Downtown Associations, and I've been with the organization for 17 years. Started out as a part-time coordinator for Walnut Creek on Ice, which is celebrating its 20th year this year. Continued on in various roles, event planning and associate director, and then became the executive director after a couple of stints as interim through the years, but became officially the executive director in November of 2017. Chloe and I have been working together since, I think, December of 2017.
Talk a bit of the difference of these organizations that are out there that are downtown associations, and what do they do?
We are a business improvement district, and our members are business owners and operators. Ours are servicing the businesses as opposed to a property business improvement district, which is a PBID.
Yeah, and in the state of California, there are commonly 3 different mechanisms that you'll see for these assessment districts. The business improvement district that Kathy and the team in Walnut Creek manage. There's also the property-based improvement districts that are typically found in your larger communities. And then there are also community benefit districts. They all have slightly different structure, but can provide similar services ranging from events and marketing, advocacy, and kind of place leadership all the way through clean and safe and beautification services. In San Jose, they actually have 2 assessment districts layered on top. So they have a business improvement district, just as they do in Walnut Creek. That started in 1988. And then they also have a property-based improvement district, which started in 2008. Property-based improvement districts in California didn't come into play until the late 90s. There are some older organizations that have both assessment districts under one umbrella.
And as we evolve, you talked a lot about some of the things that they can do. And we're going to talk today a little bit about the downtowns and how they play in our economy, but also how things are changing as retail changes. Talk about the importance. You hear places like Antioch, Dublin wanting to develop downtowns. You hear places like Fairfield wanting to revive. Like Fairfield's economy has developed away from its downtown. Their shopping centers, their shopping districts are not where their downtown strip is. Talk about what is the importance of the associations in driving that. What is the importance of those downtowns?
For me, I always think of it first and foremost as downtown is everybody's neighborhood. And if your city center isn't thriving, then that can have ripple effects throughout your entire city. I think a lot of the reason folks are looking at creating these assessment districts or some sort of management entity, they want local control. And that's essentially what these entities are hyper-local means to provide services within a neighborhood. They're outside of the realm of what the city can do. They're providing supplemental services, but they can also provide them a bit faster than your city can because it's a private entity managing this district on behalf of either the property owners, if it's a property-based improvement district, or the business owners, if it's a business improvement district.
I'd say that the advocacy role is very important to our work and being that advocate for the business owners or to the city, state, and the federal. That portion of it, and just being that connector between the business community and the city council or whoever, and then city staffs as well.
Yeah, I think that's important. How did that help the local businesses? Why are those events drivers? Kathy, you mentioned the ice ring. How does that help these local businesses? And let's look at the role of the associations supporting driving traffic.
Yeah, for our local events, it's really being able to provide community events and programming that attracts its residents. And first off, our downtown residents and then the neighborhoods surrounding, but then also, especially in Walnut Creek situation, is Walnut Creek is a regional destination. We get people that are visiting and coming to our programs from the 680 corridor and out in the East County, and then a lot from San Francisco, whether folks are working out in San Francisco and then coming back home, or maybe sometimes they escape the June gloom and come back to Walnut Creek during the summertime to enjoy some of our downtown programming. That's a little bit about how I view that. And it's just really being able to also create programming that takes place at our business community's front door. That when they're coming down for a Locust Street Festival or Head West Marketplace type of event, they can also see the businesses that are nearby and can pop in and visit them for their regular errands.
Yeah, and I would say similarly in San Jose, you've got a base of folks who are working within the downtown core that you want to keep after work hours. And then San Jose does tend to be a bedroom community for the Great Bay Area. So being able to engage people back into downtown when they're home is really key. A large entity like the San Jose Downtown Association typically produces a small number of large scale events and then works with a lot of partners to ensure that there's a breadth of programming within the community as well, because you can't put on 365 days of events yourself, but you can help pave the way for others. And one of the things that Kathy mentioned earlier around advocacy, that's been a large chunk of where we see some districts spending their time is advocacy around events, whether it's bringing down the permitting threshold or challenges within your city or county to make those events happen, but also educating property owners and business owners on how the event can actually benefit them. I was just in Long Beach for the 30th anniversary of the Vans Warped Tour. And that was an 85,000 person event taking place in downtown Long Beach over the course of 2 days. The Downtown Long Beach Association spent time educating the folks around that event space that, hey, you're going to have to staff up. You're going to have to be prepared for this. But also you can tap into some of the marketing and events and promotions attached to this larger scale event without having to put a lot of effort in. A lot of times these districts are bridging those gaps for small business owners, the larger things happening in downtown.
Chloe, do you have an example of that partnership that you were discussing?
Yeah, a longstanding partnership in San Jose is with the San Jose Jazz Society. And they have an annual summer fest that's going to be taking place this August. Predating me, they've been working with the Jazz Society probably for the last 20 years on putting out information on the events, both directly to the business owners in preparation, but also to the various lists that they manage, as well as doing some clean and safe work in advance of the event.
And Kathy, when you talk about that attraction, one of the things that's run by a different organization, the Walnut Creek Art and Wine Festival, is held by the Chamber, but it's always been held away from the downtown at a big public park just next to downtown. Did the downtown businesses feel it? Did people say, hey, I don't want this fried food, I'm going to go have a nice dinner? Did people go to the Walnut Creek Nordstrom's? Because what were the benefits of that change this year?
Yes, all of the above. It was a great opportunity for people to spend the entire day in downtown Walnut Creek. So they could take BART over and then hop on a shuttle or walk over to Civic Park. Would be there all day enjoying some of the the food and fare from the festival itself, but then meet other friends or continue the afternoon or evening by walking down to Broadway Plaza to run some errands or getting over to the traditional downtown or for restaurants to be able to enjoy dinner and keep going. Yeah, it was definitely a positive experience. Even the businesses could feel that impact as soon as Saturday afternoon. We had a business show up for a volunteer shift in our booth and was pleasantly surprised to see that uptick in the lunch business.
Ooh, good to hear. Let's talk about post COVID. There was a big push to always support your local restaurants, even ordering for pickup. There's big movements from San Jose to Walnut Creek and everything in between to increase outdoor dining programs in our relatively stable climate that we have in the Bay Area. Talk about what are some of those trends that you're seeing? How are businesses shifting?
We're still working through some of the programs that continue through COVID and just fine tuning them. And I say we, meaning the city, and they are conducting currently a curb management plan. We've assisted with notifying property and business owners to work with them on focus groups and providing feedback on what's working right now. One in particular is a 15-minute parking spot that people could drive into and grab food to go or run a quick errand. Or see that was really popular a couple years ago and maybe not so much now. It's being used more so by DoorDash and third-party delivery drivers who kind of park themselves there until they get their next order. So how can we help turn that over and make that be a useful spot for the businesses? Can we identify a spot within the downtown where they can all hang out and park until they need to move on to deliver their foods? And then the safety portion of it is always definitely a conversation with the Walnut Creek PD department. Also, the more people that we want to get within the downtown, we want it to be a very walkable space, which I think it is. But we're seeing people tend to drive a little faster and not pay as close attention to those traffic lights. A further discussion about that, as well as some micromobility. We're super excited about seeing more of the motorized scooter and e-bikes that are finishing that last mile or so to the downtown. But we're also looking at how to safely bring them into the downtown and park and store them.
As the outdoor dining programs that are still underway have, now that we're a couple of years past the stay-at-home order, are they thriving? Are they helping the restaurants increase it by just giving them more tables? Are they seeing customers who weren't coming before?
It's a little bit of both. We've had a new program that rolled out after the emergency order was lifted. And we've had one business that built a pod, so a public outdoor dining structure. Walnut Creek Downtown's been working with the city for about a year in discussions about how to update that program and streamline the guidelines, as well as the rent and some of the permitting process, and a faster process and a new program that could be instituted by December 31st of this year. 10 businesses will be able to realize $10,000 towards one of their dining structures, which not only provides extra dining tables, which if you're looking at maybe one, maybe two parking spaces, you could get maybe 12 tables, maybe 12 floor tops on there. However, it's also a great marketing tool. One of our businesses has a darker facade, so they're excited to be able to have that outdoor presence on the curb to show people that they're open for lunch. And if you see diners that are out there reminding folks from a couple blocks down the street that there's more to see, they're to the north or south, our main streets there.
Interested in attracting more retail into your downtown areas? Check out last week's episodes for retail attraction strategies.
And Chloe, what are you seeing changes post-COVID?
I would say on large scale, what we're hearing from folks is that the fundamentals of a downtown matter now more than ever. Is it clean? Is it safe? Is it engaging to be in this space? And outdoor dining is definitely one of those things that I think has become a fundamental for those folks that are spending time in downtown. And a lot of municipalities, much like Walnut Creek, are working on ways to make those curb cafes permanent, whether it's streamlining permitting like in Walnut Creek, or working with a downtown association to create a standard set of plans that are already pre-approved. So it's a project that San Jose has been working on through some grant funding from the Knight Foundation. The other thing that we're seeing is the recognition at the state level that these nice to haves have become need to haves in our downtowns. And so we've seen the implementation of the state's first entertainment zone in San Francisco on Front Street. And that allows for flexible use of the space around your liquor permits and how folks are able to use the existing businesses within that event zone footprint and sell alcohol as a part of the event, adding more revenue into your existing businesses who sometimes don't sell as much alcohol. That legislation has expanded statewide now, with that pilot in San Francisco showing the best practices. And so cities across the state are now working on their ordinances to implement these entertainment zones, which is a really exciting new opportunity for downtowns.
There's a couple points there I want to hit on. First, on the alcohol sales, which makes sense that it increases revenue. It's easier to do. There's this big talk that Generation Z isn't drinking as much alcohol. I've read things that say it's true, things that say it's false. What are you hearing?
Yeah, we haven't seen a great decline in our alcohol sales. I'd say they're pretty consistent with last year. We are definitely getting creative with our non-alcoholic services and providing those with our regular alcoholic beverages. That's definitely something. And there's a lot more available. There's some creative products out there, and they're approaching us to be able to partner with them. I think our businesses are also doing that. So not only could it translate in alcohol sales for them, but it could also translate into hopefully the mocktails and also food and beverage down the road as well.
Yeah, we're also seeing an uptick in folks looking at more creative mocktail menus. As a result, it seems to be the standard when a newer restaurant with a bar component opens. The other thing that we're seeing on large scale is that folks are looking for experiences, not just everyone still does love like an Oktoberfest on Front Street in San Francisco, but they want to see a more robust event with multiple opportunities, whether it's music and live art, like live painting or performance or interactive elements or retail. People are they're looking for more, essentially, when they go out and they spend their leisure time. We're also seeing an uptick in large-scale musical acts using downtown as their venue. A really great example is a electronic musician called Fisher. He's a DJ, and he just performed in both downtown Denver and downtown San Jose in spaces that typically were not used for a large-scale concert. The Downtown Hollywood Partnership also did a daytime rave on Hollywood Boulevard, and those kinds of experiences are what people are looking for. They're in their community, and they have a lot to offer.
I want to hit on this a little bit more because you guys are talking about how the Downtown Association, part of their thing is to drive customers in there. And you're talking about an entertainment experience. I've had a number of conversations with the city of Concord as an example. They've attracted a lot of kids' activities, trampoline parks, Ninja Warrior courses, things like that. But it's in an industrial area that's close to the highway, possibly cheap rent. And because they're in this industrial sort of area, they're not attracting foot traffic to anything. What do you think about that type of interactive entertainment? Is there something maybe not on Main Street in downtown Walnut Creek, but in walking distance to another area?
While the Walnut Creek on Ice comes to mind, it's still within Civic Park, which is technically downtown. That's one opportunity for us and using that east side. But then just the variety that a city can offer, not only in its downtown, but the perimeter areas and neighborhoods as well. Just it's a win-win for everyone, for residents and visitors of that city when you have so much going on that you can pick and choose.
If within a walkable distance, you get more foot traffic. I'm a big believer that you should have those things at least on the peripheral to create more foot traffic, just like the concerts seem pretty cool too.
Very successful.
What about retail trends? Have you seen post-COVID, the increase in online shopping, how is that impacting these downtowns?
Well, for Walnut Creek, we're fortunate that we have a Way Plaza and Macerich property that's within our district that is extremely successful. I think they're at like 98% occupancy right now. It's a wonderful place to be able to shop and dine. The traditional downtown that has the majority of the space right now is restaurants. We have over 120, 130 restaurants just within the downtown, which is a huge amount of menus to manage. But our retail outside of Broadway Plaza struggles, definitely on North Main Street. Our organization and some of the property owners and partners are looking at different ways of how we can activate the traditional downtown with a stronger retail. And the city even conducted a retail survey and plan a couple of years ago to be able to look at that a little bit more closely. We do have our struggles with that. We also are trying to make sure that we're accommodating for those current and future retailers to come into the downtown so that the loading zones are appropriately managed and, those 15-minute parking zones and such so that people can pick up their online orders and be able to grab and go. We've got some more work to do to be able to identify some strong retailers that we think are going to be a great addition to the downtown.
San Jose is a little different than Walnut Creek. We have two very high performing malls, Santana Row and Valley Fair, 2 miles from the downtown core. And our city, or the Downtown Association, very quickly recognized you're not going to be able to recruit Apple out of Valley Fair. That's not going to work. And as a result, they've really focused in on some small micro businesses who are looking to create a retail space within downtown. And back in 2017, the Downtown Association and San Jose were able to install 4 micro retail units on San Pedro Street in a city garage. And that essentially, it's called Moment, became an incubation space for businesses with the intent to hopefully have them fill space in vacant storefronts in downtown within the PBID boundaries, and has seen folks fill in spaces within the PBID as well as outside in other parts of San Jose, largely driven by what amount of space they needed and what the rent was. But fortunately, the program expanded last year and now has additional locations closer to San Jose State's campus on the east side of the district. So that level of success is where we've seen real movement in San Jose. There are also some legacy retailers here in downtown, but they're not concentrated in one area. And that's been an ongoing challenge, which we've seen in other downtowns that traditionally haven't been dry goods, traditional retail heavy. Trying to get that up and running in today's market is a challenge. But if you have some sort of incubation program, that can really help bridge the gap with your smaller businesses. One of the really successful tenants is called Tiny Makes Things, and she makes keyboard cap covers. I always get it wrong because it's not my realm, but essentially you can customize a keyboard through her business. And she has a very large Instagram and TikTok following of folk and Twitch of folks that are doing like PC gaming and really into customizing. But we're also seeing a lot of kind of small scale makers that are doing t-shirt stickers, those type of goods, as well as plant shops. That seems to be like the new froyo. Plant shops seem to be something that folks are into as well right now.
Yeah, we have a really fun plant shop that's also, it's a husband and wife business. And so she runs the plant shop, and within the same space, he runs the barber shop. So it's a salon and plant store that unique use of the space.
There's a store in downtown Brentwood that the association there took me to, and I think it's like 3 stores in one. One is plant, and the other third, like I want to say it's homemade soaps and household items like that, and it blended them all together. Think about that when you're there as a unique way to bring in 3 business owners who are friends to fill one retail space that might have been too expensive and not self-sustaining, right? It hits different times of the day and it attracts the mom who's there. Oh, do I need plants or do I need it for a housewarming party? Are you seeing with downtowns, particularly those, not in your cases, but from the association perspective, the towns that are giving new birth to their downtowns or looking to develop. What are you seeing in those communities?
One of the things that we're seeing on large scale is folks reevaluating their commercial office spaces within their downtown core. And as work life continues to change, there are these large scale vacant office spaces that are driving occupancy down to 70-60%. In some downtowns, we're seeing a large scale reevaluation of these properties and whether they can be moved into residential. Here in San Jose, we had a mostly defunct hotel tower that converted into San Jose State student housing. Looking at your mix, do you have enough residents? Do we have too many office spaces or hotels that are no longer serving? If converting a hotel, it's a lot easier to put in residential than it would be if you're looking at some older, maybe Class B office space.
I would say we don't have as much office within our downtown. And even at that, it's maybe 25, 28% vacancy rate right now, which is definitely impacting our lunch business. And that continues, as well as some of our services. So those who are working downtown and then would go into the cleaners or the shoe repair place. That's been a little bit difficult to have them come to grips with and be able to manage that on an annual basis. Efforts that we've been trying to spin those a little bit is just working a lot closer with our development department and our partners with Visit Walnut Creek and the Chamber of Commerce, even the arts over at the Lesher Center. Just trying to figure out different ways that we can utilize the downtown public gathering spaces to attract more people. And really, those amenities, in addition to our already bustling restaurant retail scene, is a huge draw to those office folks that are coming in. One of our office buildings is almost at full capacity just across the street from the bid. We have been told that one of the most successful stories are because those businesses are close to the amenities the downtown offers. It's capitalizing on what we have, but then really working together to identify what's.
I'd also throw out a trend that we've discussed is foot traffic. There's a lot of cities that I've seen have good downtown bones, but the businesses have trouble surviving because there's not enough foot traffic. And if you have crime issues, you don't have enough local residents, you can't even just attract a coffee shop and get them to stay afloat if there's not enough foot traffic that people can walk through, build upon. I think that's important with podcasts. Please share with a friend and give us a rating on your podcast app. And Chloe, you talked about legacy retailers that are all spread out, though. That's the struggle for them a little bit.
One of my favorite retailers here in downtown San Jose, they're called Hammer & Lewis. They've been around since the 1920s. They are a destination retail location for their longtime customers. But if you don't know that they exist, you probably wouldn't just pop in and walk in. And for these folks that are in an island space like that, where they're all by themselves, it really is key to look at what kind of programming adjacent to or for the entire downtown that's key. And one of the things that we've seen success here in San Jose is really looking at mapping out that retail and being very intentional, very explicit with the folks that come into downtown that it exists. And this is where it is and what the opportunities are. Do you have programming within that space on a regular basis, or does someone else have it? How are you communicating it out to folks? Because a business like Hammer & Lewis is not doing a large amount of outreach and marketing on their own. They're really just all about their store and continuing to provide the same quality clothing experience that they always have. So being able to introduce new folks through something like Small Business Saturday to a business like that can be a really huge help. And those tools are available to any neighborhood business district. You don't have to be a downtown association or a formal entity, but they really can create a program that makes it much easier to share out very quickly what you've got going downtown.
Yeah. Let's talk about associations for a minute. What kind of work does the association do, and what are some of the benefits to that?
The California Downtown Association. CDA has been around since 1971, and the entity's goal is essentially to advocate on behalf of and educate the staff and boards of downtown assessment districts throughout the state. And we really concentrate our efforts into two spaces, the education side, and we do that through an annual conference in partnership with the International Downtown Association. Our next conference is going to be May 26th in Long Beach. And that's really a great opportunity to bring together the professionals working within this realm to talk about best practices and the challenges and opportunities they're seeing within their own downtowns. It's also a great place to maybe borrow best practices and bring them back within to your downtown at scale. The other side is the advocacy work that we do on behalf of the districts. Typically, a lot of these assessment districts don't have staff focused on state level legislation and advocacy, and this can be a huge help for those entities because they're not having to track the thousands of bills that are proposed, discussed, and run through our state legislature. And we're able to distill those down and report out on the item that will impact downtowns and how assessment districts run within the state of California. And that's been a huge boon for those organizations that can't work on that themselves.
Kathy, you want to add anything?
The legislative advocacy has ticked up quite a bit over the last 2 years, and I'm really pleased and proud to see the efforts that have been accomplished. ADA is getting noticed to be more of a partner in supporting bills and legislation and our representatives in moving forward efforts that are really going to make a difference within our downtown. So the notoriety and increased partnerships that we have on that state level has really been a big accomplishment over the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see our state electeds understand better what a business improvement district or what a PBID is and just how many of them there are. This year is actually the first time an entire suite of legislation was proposed on downtown revitalization. Assemblymember Matt Haney out of San Francisco is the current select committee chair on downtown revitalization. In my tenure in this industry, that has not occurred. Having folks within our state legislature understand that downtowns are the lifeblood of communities, they need support now at the state level, really has been a huge shift within the legislative role.
And just having that exposure to those through visits up to the Capitol or meetings and or participating in press conferences, it just really elevates everyone's knowledge as to what's happening in Sacramento instead of hearing about it after everything's been voted upon and decided. There's a lot of dialogue that I can bring to the city council, but then it also can translate over to our board of directors. And just bringing a couple of those bills and conversation to that really hyper local level, that I feel like they are able to have a say and do have a voice in some of the discussions that are happening at the state level.
Giving the locals organizations guidance too on how to contact their state legislator is important. And before we head out, let me ask a question from a different perspective. If I am a small business owner, retail restaurant, and I say, I want to go to downtown, where do I go to the association first? Do I go to the city? What happens if here's the idea, but I don't even know how to build the business? How do I get help or figure out where to be?
The great thing is that there's so many resources. So you can get a variety of answers to help support make that decision. And another example of a partnership is with Walnut Creek Downtown and the Chamber, and then being able to introduce Size Up Walnut Creek, which is an online platform that allows interested entrepreneurs or new businesses to tap into the current market and existing market to see what type of business are within our downtown, what their numbers are looking like, and just help to give them and create an educated vision. And then Walnut Creek Town, we can give you the day-to-day information about what our business owners and operators are dealing with, and if there's vacancies, how we can make those introductions, set up some collaborations. The Chamber has a much wider scope, so you're able to, maybe can't afford to set up your business within the downtown, but then there's a neighborhood shopping center that might be a better in the long run. It's also accessibility that we can provide directly to city staff. So being able to break down those barriers. And we've been so proud of the city staff that have been able to really have a lot of hands-on meat to really make that decision as to where you're going to land and if you're going to land in a particular city.
I would say that the experience that Kathy and the folks in Walnut Creek are able to provide is consistent with other downtown and economic development teams at their respective cities. We are seeing some of the larger scale downtown associations take on a staff level position for technical support. That can range from warm handoffs to brokers and property owners with vacant spaces all the way through kind of time intensive work around your city and county permitting processes. 9 times out of 10, small business owners don't finish the form, right, when submitting, or don't do it correctly when submitting for building and plan check. Having someone who can handhold and assist you through that can be really key. We've even seen here in San Jose businesses that are located in other communities that want that same level of technical support from an application standpoint because they've learned lessons in those other municipalities around how long it can take from the moment you sign your lease to the day you start operating fully permitted. And I think that kind of trend is something we'll probably continue to see within our downtowns, whether it's the downtown association itself or city staff specializing in that technical support for a specific location.
And how does everybody find out more about your organizations in the downtown?
For Walnut Creek Downtown, it's walnutcreekdowntown.com. We've got a website that is full of links to our business community, as well as links for all of our events. We're halfway through our event season right now and are excited to finish out 25 with a bang as business resources for our members, so they can find out all of the free member benefits that come with their membership, including marketing and a variety of different ways to support them. And then volunteers, we haven't even touched on the volunteers, but they're a huge backbone of our organization through board of directors and committees, focus groups, and of course, our events. Definitely take a look on our website at walnutcreekdowntown.com.
Chloe?
So you can find out more about the California Downtown Association at californiadowntown.com. And if you're interested in learning more about assessment district formation and strategic planning, you can head over to pumaworldhq.com.
I appreciate both your times. I've been wanting to have this conversation for a while. I think recent trends, this is a good time, and we're going to combine this with a podcast focused specifically on retail trend and retail attraction. Thank you.
Thank you.
This episode is sponsored by Visit Walnut Creek.
Walnut Creek, where historic meets modern and urban blends with hometown, where there is something for everyone. Food, art, and music, all at the base of Mount Diablo. Work or play, we've got you covered. Come and experience our laid-back Californian lifestyle and metropolitan flair. Visit Walnut Creek and go Calipolitan.
Wait, don't leave yet. Hit subscribe. Make sure you get the weekly updates. We have a new episode every Wednesday for stuff happening in the East Bay. In the meantime, follow me on LinkedIn, Jared Ash, or check out our firm where we have a weekly newsletter and blog at Capstone Government Affairs on LinkedIn. Thanks for joining us today on the Capstone Conversation.